Hello everybody, welcome back to Cuddles R Us. Today, I want to talk about a couple of things that we should be mindful of when the game launches. So let's get into it. Now, we're all coming off the beta weekend. It feels great. The game was amazing. Like, it was great. Okay, we got to try the combat. We got to test out some of the vehicles. We got to test out a lot of things. Now, there are a couple of things when I was looking at the tech tree that I want to, bring to your guys' attention, and maybe even if you guys any got suggestions, leave it in the comments below. But let's get into this. So when I was looking at the research tree, I looked at wind traps. Now, we all know playing the beta, like, water was a huge hindrance. Like, you couldn't do anything without, having blood, purifying blood. Now, I get that, sucking dew off plants, like, so I think these wind traps are going to be massively important. Okay, now they don't hold a lot. Like, if we just look at the wind trap in general, like, it doesn't really hold a lot. The water capacity is only 500, while the gather rate is 0.75, power cost is 75. Now, and like, if you look at it, it has inventory capacity slots. So what are we going to have to do? Like, when we make this, what are we going to have to do to fill it up? What does it need? Like, we don't know. Or we do know and we just can't say anything because, NDAs. Or people can't say anything because of NDAs. But these are going to be massively important. Now, the power cost is 75. So the only option that we have is going to a wind turbine that does 150. Because if we look at our basic building, right, we will have to have a power generator, right? One for every single one of these. There's just so many, right? And if, depending on how many you have, depends on, you got to add a generator every time you add one of these. Will get really troublesome very fast. Maybe that's the reason why the bases are so spread out. But that's also why I was looking at the wind turbine. Now, this does 150, which cuts out 2 of those, which, still, you need kind of a lot of them. Now, I did notice when you went to the dur-aluminum, and I don't know how fast people will be able to get to these, but it does require 3 spice melange. Like, this is one of the first items that we're going to see that are going to require spice to make, right? And it also requires intel, 700 intel to unlock this tier. To unlock the aluminum tier is going to cost us 300. So that's a lot of intel. That's going to be a lot of progression that's going to have to be done. So just keep that in mind. Now, with that said, this is 350 power generation, which is a massive difference. So we're going to want to see these, a lot of them, like, depending on your base, depending on the size, because we start looking at the power consumption of all of these other facilities and stuff. Like, I know we don't have them unlocked and stuff like this, but we start looking at, power consumption. This power cost for the advanced garment facility is 150. So when I was noticing all the bases in their base building thing, it caught my eye, because they're just littered with them, like all over, and it was kind of crazy. But also in the dur-aluminum tier, I found a large wind trap. Now, this one's gather rate is 1.75, but the power cost is 135. Same water capacity, or was the water capacity? Yeah, same water capacity. Like, same slots. Does require a little bit more. It requires actually a lot more resources, which is to be expected. But I believe that these large wind traps are going to be a huge importance on making sure that we have enough water in our bases, because we get this large water cistern, right? Look at the water capacity. It's 100,000. 100,000. Now, how much are we gonna need? So I started looking at how much does it cost to start building stuff? Like, what is the water cost gonna be? And I really can't see all that much when you go and you're looking at just like the building block stuff. Like, what is it gonna take to make the ingots? That's the real question, because we noticed when we got into iron that we started requiring water to process those iron bars. So, and then we look at we look at weapons, right? This one's 340. Now, which brings me to my next little topic here. So we have the wind turbines that we got to be looking out for, the power generation we got to be looking out for, making sure that our bases, stay powered, and getting these items. Now, I noticed once we get to aluminum, we're able to start making these house drill shots. Now, I didn't see it anywhere else, and if there is any tier below aluminum or that we can get this, I don't know. But I digress. Now, the house drill shot, this gun is going to be kind of big, right? Because we all watched the PvP that happened. Okay? And the problem is the shields. The shields, nobody could get past them, and then you were getting stun locked. There was nothing nobody could do about it. And poison darts were king. Explosive rounds were king, because those went through the shields. But we have to look at this as the movie. Okay? They did take a lot of stuff from the movies. Now, the drill shot gun is actually in the movies where it drills through the shields. So no matter what, this gun will penetrate the shields. At least as far as I'm aware. As far as what I've seen. Because it just says berry dart stuck to them, penetrates them after a short amount of time, dealing damage to the protected target. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, that's going to burrow the darts through their shields. No matter what, they're going to get hit by it. So this gun right here is probably one of the first items we may want to look at and unlock in the aluminum tier. That's going to get rid of all those pesky big shielded guys. We're going to cut through them. All right. Now, started looking at some of the other stuff, like the guns. I do think poison darts are gonna be pretty big as well. So I'm gonna say the drill shot, something to look out for. Drill shot, right? Poison darts are gonna be king. I didn't really see anything else. Now, I see a missile launcher, but this is endgame, right? I didn't see where we could have a flamethrower. Okay, I didn't see where we can have a flamethrower or anything to that nature. I do see the Vulcan, the Gatling gun, the minigun, but I didn't see where a flamethrower is. It's not in the schematics anywhere. Maybe that's in a house. Maybe that's one of the unlockables that you get for doing quests or something. I don't know. If you do, leave it in a comment below, but don't break your NDA. Not for this. So, if you can tell us, let us know. If you can't, I understand. But so that's a couple of things to look out for, because the reason why I bring up the fact that you can't have the flamethrower is because in the soldier tree or trooper tree, right, there's a passive that allows you to have the flamethrower and a las gun. And I see neither one of these inside our research tree. So do keep a mindful eye out for those schematics. And maybe they're only here. Maybe they're only a unique item. Like we don't know. We can't see this. And the people that do know can't really tell us. So we only have speculation at the moment. The other thing was making sure that we had a radiation suit. And aluminum was the first spot where I found that we could actually start getting radiation suits, right? The radiation suit is going to allow us to go to those radiation zones and PvP zones that were under radiation that we weren't able to get to in the beta. And I think this is going to play a huge role in potentially getting to the next tier as far as like a dur-aluminum. Okay? Because we see like the radiation suits becoming more and more prominent. Like this comes MK4, MK5, and then we got an MK6. So after the aluminum tier, it appears that there's going to be more radiation spots that are going to become available to us that we're going to have to be looking out for. So just another forethought, like what do we have to do to progress? Now, I understand, you know, people aren't like me, but some people aren't. Because how I see this game is if we're not prepared to run as fast as we can, the people that get to the deep desert first, get to these items first, get to this material first, are going to control our server or the server. So I want to make sure that I'm prepared to go in and blitz through some of this content. Now, doesn't mean not to enjoy the scenery, not to enjoy the base building, but it does mean that base locations are limited. So when we look at the map, right, we start seeing, you know, it's pretty massive up here. Like we're missing a big chunk here. We're missing a chunk over here. Like, so these base locations are very limited in the spots that we're going to be allowed to build and what we're allowed to do. And it's going to be a mad dash. And you're going to want to make sure to maybe have a plan about getting out and being with your group, being with your team, and saying, okay, we need to scout out some of these base locations and what kind of materials do each spot have. And that's what we're going to shoot for. Because I did notice down here, like there's a wall, but like this is all quicksand. Like we got to see that with Shroud in them. Like we got to see some of this stuff up here. Which looked like a lot of fun. It looked like a lot of enemy camps. They looked more compact. So, a lot bigger, right? Because I don't know about you guys, but in this beta, these camps, right? All these camps, they were like exactly the same. Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's because I did it, you know, I did it on 3 separate occasions. Like I did all of this 3 different times. I did it on Bene Gesserit. I did it on the Swordsmaster, Amentat. So I did it 3 times. So maybe that's the issue. Maybe that's the reason why it felt kind of repetitive to me. So do keep that in mind. Now, one of the things is why I brought up the radiation suit is because I was trying to get to this spot here on the map. And I ended up getting this intel. But the radiation zone here, like, was a pain. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little hard to get through, but I ended up getting it. It wasn't. I died a couple of times, but But I would like to explore that area a little bit more. And I didn't really have the opportunity because I didn't have a radiation suit. So when I started looking at the research tree, that's when I started looking at, okay, we don't get that until aluminum. Right? And then, but, you know, it comes to the question of where we want to be when the game comes up. All right? Like, where do we want our bases to be built? What are you going to be shooting for? What's the first thing that we should be doing? Is that going to be going and getting a gun? So then that way we can, you know, kill more people to potentially get more water? Or do we hard focus on the crafting aspect and go ahead and buckle down and try to get these wind traps? I don't know. If you do, leave a comment below. Otherwise, like, subscribe, hit the bell if you want to know more. We're going to put out more of this content. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful night.